You're about to build your first voice agent for your business to help you handle all the inbound calls you're receiving. You open up the prompt editor and you freeze. You don't know what to do because you have no idea where to start. In this video, I'm going to show you why the best voice agent builders don't start with a prompt. What happens with most people is that they just start writing the prompt anyway, without the pre-planning. They test it with a few scenarios and think it's fine. They then think it's ready to use on production. But once it's deployed, that's when all the issues start happening. Customers ask questions that you didn't anticipate. The agent gets stuck in a loop and doesn't know how to get out of it. It forgets crucial information mid-conversation, and it can't handle multiple intents in one sentence. So you've built this voice agent for your business, but now you're constantly putting out fires and trying to tweak the prompt here and there to make it actually work. But every time you change something, something else breaks. The agent sounds robotic and scripted because you're trying to script every single path. You're spending more time fixing bugs rather than actually improving the voice agent and improving the customer experience. You think that the system and the technology is broken, and you don't think that this can work for your business, but that's not the case. So here's what the pro voice agent builders know, but nobody talks about. Voice agents aren't built in prompt editors. They're built in flow mapping tools like Figma, Miro, Lucidchart, or a pen and paper. Before you write a single line in your prompt editor, you should consider the following. What are the use cases? What is this agent actually meant to be doing? And what are the conversation stages? Should there be a greeting and then qualification, followed by a book a call? Or do you then want the option to transfer to an agent at a certain stage? You also need to think about the different decision points you're going to put into the voice agent's flow. At what point is the voice agent going to be able to branch off into different actions and functions? And then do you have things set up for any edge cases? Say for example, something goes wrong with the voice agent, or it's not able to answer your customer's query. What do you have set up to make sure that there is a fail-safe and that the voice agent can either hand off to a human agent, log the call, or make sure that the customer is able to get the experience and the response that they require? So why is this so important in building voice agents? When you map it out visually, you're able to see any loops, dead ends, or missing paths that aren't in your voice agent currently. You're then able to patch those and make sure that every single conversation flow actually goes to the desired output. Doing this in a process mapping tool is way easier than having to try and find all of these different issues within the prompt. Another important aspect is that you can show this to your stakeholders as well. Remember, this voice agent is going to impact your entire business, especially your customer service function. This means that before you even build the voice agent, you're able to map it out fully. And you don't just use the map before you're building it. You then use this map as the source of truth going forward, even once the voice agent is deployed. If anyone's got any questions or want to make any alterations to the voice agent, they're able to look at the map and really see where that can fit in to all of the different aspects of the conversation flow. This then makes it way easier to make any adjustments going forward. And when everything's mapped out properly, you're designing a great conversation flow. You're not just guessing at it and throwing it into a prompt. Now, something I also recommend that we do is, before you even look at building out the voice agent flow for your company, what I would do is I would actually build out your current process flow for a customer calling as if they were going to speak to a human agent. How does that currently look? Then what's probably best is to then build out a voice agent that can just literally replace that exact process at first. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump into a quick demonstration. This is a voice agent conversation flow that I built for a past client. It's a very simple voice agent. All it really had to do was answer frequently asked questions, be able to transfer the call if required, take down a message, and also log everything into their CRM. So as you can see from my screen, I'm using Canva. All I do is just map out all of my different process flows in Canva. You don't have to use Canva. There's multiple other tools that you can use for this. A lot of people use Figma, or there's Lucidchart. There's also things like Miro. So there's loads of options out there for process mapping. I'm just using Canva just because this is what I'm used to. So what I usually start with is all of the different flows that we already know we want to include, but I map these out separately so that we're then able to really get into the detail and things don't become overcrowded. The first thing to note is that we have these different, what we call swim lanes. So there's the customer here, AI receptionist, team members, and the CRM system, any other system you want to put in there as well. So what this means is that you're really able to visualize who the task is on, and so who's actually going to be performing each individual part of the process. This one starts in the customer flow, as you can see at the start. Customers then call in, and then goes to the AI receptionist. There's a greeting and intent, so it just understands what they're actually calling about. The customer states the reason for calling, and then we identify what the caller type is. This is a new prospect. We ask qualification questions. The customer then provides details on the project they're interested in. We then thank the caller for their details and ask for contact details. So email, company name, caller name. The customer then provides these details. We thank the caller, then the relevant team members are then notified. It's also logged into the CRM, and then it's the end. So that's a very simple conversation flow just for a new prospect. And the good thing is you're best to start simple, because once you've really mapped this out, you can then start to see, okay, can I add any more detail? Is this process inefficient in any areas? So here's a bit more of a complex one. This is the transfer call request. So all we're doing in this one is, if the intent is a customer calls in and said, hi, I want to speak to a certain person, then this will take down those details of who they want to speak to. It will then try and transfer the call. But we've also got fail safes as well. So say, for example, the call doesn't go through. How does the voice agent then handle that? Then it goes back and it says, sorry, we couldn't get through to that person. They're unavailable at the moment. Can we take a message? Then what it'll do, it will just log this into the CRM. It'll notify that relevant person, and then they'll be able to call them back. As you can see in this part, you're able to see two different conditions. So did the person answer? Yes, there's a different flow for that. Did the person answer? No. You're really able to see all potential options and conversation paths that could happen in these interactions. Another one, and this is the final one here for the basic conversation flow, is the general information flow. So this is just about how they're going to answer FAQs. All it's going to do is just greet the customer as normal, check the knowledge base for the questions. If they had any other systems where we wanted to be able to access information and share with them, that will be detailed in there as well. But for this one, it's just, we just check the knowledge base and grab the answers out of there. We then find out if this was the information that the customer wanted. But then there's conditions whether this actually fulfilled the customer's needs or it didn't. We log this regardless, so you're able to see every single conversation. But say, for example, they didn't get what they needed. Do we then try and transfer the call? What do we do after that? So that's already in there. We ask them if they want to transfer the call and speak to a human representative. And again, all the details are then logged to the CRM, and that's the end. Now, the final one I want to show you is just this high level overview. This one isn't as detailed, but all this is doing is it shows something that's going to happen regardless. So this is just the greeting and the customer contacting the business. We have these three different branches. So it just identifies the caller type, as we saw earlier. So there's a call transfer request, there's a new prospect, and there's routine questions. Those are three different optionalities that we're able to see. And then, as I then showed, we then have all of the different process maps for each one of those. So yeah, this just means instead of trying to do it all on one process map where it just gets way too messy, you're able to split it out and you're able to see each individual process. So you just want to be able to take the current process, replace it with a voice agent, so that process is already replaced. But then what you're able to do with these process maps is that you're then able to make tweaks and adjustments. Can we add a data source here where we're able to pull information in or store information? Is there a knowledge base we can add so that we can improve the answers for the voice agent as well? The process maps really allow you to mold and refine these conversations, but you're also then able to understand the processes that happen around the voice agent, not just the voice agent's conversations, which means you're further able to make improvements to the overall process. I'm just going to quickly break down what the process is to actually building out a conversation flow. First of all, you want to start with the use cases. What is the agent actually hired to do? What are the different functionalities or jobs that the current call handler has, and how can we map those out? You then want to map a simple and basic flow for each type of interaction. But on each of those different flows, you then want to add conditional branches. If things didn't go so well, and say, for example, the customer wasn't happy with the answer you got, what do you do then? If the customer didn't get through to the person that they wanted to be transferred to, what do you do then? That's why we have the conditional branches. You also want to identify all of the edge cases, all of the different ways that a person could try and test or break the voice agent. You just want to write this down and get an understanding of all of the different edge cases you can have. For example, if someone didn't answer when you transferred the call, there was a technical issue, or the person on the phone actually becomes hostile and starts being rude to the agent. You got to really think about building a voice agent like building a house. You wouldn't start whacking nails into different things and trying to build a house without a plan or a blueprint. That's literally what the process map is. It's the blueprint, but the actual prompt is the construction and the implementation of that. So getting really clear on what you want out of the voice agent, how it should behave before you go into the prompting stage is massively important. This basic process map probably took me 30 minutes to an hour to complete, but it saved me so much time in the actual prompting phase because I could see the entire conversation before I even wrote one line of the prompt. You stop feeling overwhelmed that you've missed something or that you need to add something into the prompt later on because you can see it all on the map, and it's very visual as well. If you're missing something, you'll be able to notice it straight away. If you have a stakeholder as well that's asking how does this work, or they're interested in what the capabilities of the voice agent are, it's way easier to explain it as well. You just provide them the process map and they're able to go through it themselves. It saves you time as well in explaining it to other people. So what will change in the actual voice agent building process? You'll build agents 3 times faster because you're not rewriting prompts all the time. You've considered it really precisely beforehand, and when you come into the prompting phase, it's all about execution. It's way easier to make improvements with stakeholder feedback because they're able to see what you've actually built your prompt based on. So making improvements becomes so much quicker as well. Process mapping also makes testing way easier because you know the exact flows that you're testing. Just go into the voice agent and try and follow an exact path that you've mapped out. Your voice agents also start sounding way more natural because you've designed the conversation, not just the responses. And you'll find that deploying these voice agents in your business is just way more of a seamless process. Customers are wowed and really happy with the customer experience they're receiving because it knows exactly how to handle their requests. Okay, so now that you understand that mapping comes before you actually build the prompts for your agent, you can see the conversation, you know where it branches, and you've identified the edge cases. But here's the next problem you're going to face. How do I actually prompt these voice agents that brings the map to life? Because a great map with a terrible prompt is still a broken agent. And that's exactly what I'll be covering in my next video, how to prompt voice agents, including how to handle context, memory, and conditional logic. And if you're interested in having a voice agent built for you, the link's in my YouTube bio where you're able to book in a call with me where we can discuss building a voice agent for your business. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.